Good morning, Arthur Offerty, PSNI TV. Once again, that corrupt, discredited RUC PSNI have done all in their power to hide and shelter their Sinn Féin area informer, Freddie Scappaticci, the scum who murdered my father, an unarmed man, in 1974. Sinn Féin area, not content with shooting my father in the back 5 times, these Sinn Féin area use their old tactics, as they have done in many murders of innocent people. Not only do they take the pleasure of killing their victims, but no, they also try to degrade his good name by saying that he was a paedophile or a sex offender. This is their favourite way of ruining a person's name, not caring what shame it brings on his family by their lies. But of course, their leader, Adams, would know all about paedophiles and sex offenders. Adams and his group done the same on my father, and because of all the stress and worry he put on my family for many years, causing the early death of my mother and brother. So not only did that scum Adams and his IRA scum kill my father, but also my mother and my brother. If Adams wants to know about paedophilia and sex offenders, he should look at his own family. And if he wants informers, MI5, MI6 agents, paedophiles and sex offenders, he need look no further than his Sinn Féin area group that is riddled with them, as the recent case of Maria Cackle has proved. It is now 40 years since 3 members of my family were murdered by Adams and his Sinn Féin area group, and the corrupt RUC, PSNI and the so-called powers that be have let these murderers off with their crimes. But let me tell Adams, I have not gone away. I can name at least 40 innocent people who have been degraded by these sick, depraved scum from the Sinn Féin area. I just pity anyone whose family members have been murdered and shamed and degraded by the lies of Sinn Féin area, and have no one to fight to clear their good names. And they have to live with the shame that Sinn Féin area have brought on innocent families. And to turn to the corrupt RUC PSNI for help would be a waste of time, as many members of Sinn Féin area work for the RUC PSNI as informers and MI5 agents. Now, that RUC PSNI Police Ombudsman Michael Maguire was a complete waste of time to speak to. He is there to do what the RUC PSNI tell him to do. He was no help at all to me when he said to me that there was no collusion between RUC PSNI and Sinn Féin area. I knew he was bought and paid for by the corrupt RUC PSNI. As an independent novice, he is a joke. After all the evidence I gave him, naming the Sinn Féin area scum who murdered my father, still that police ombudsman, directed by the Chief Constable, states that there was no collusion, all to make sure that the Sinn Féin area informers are kept safe. I have wrote to the Chief Constable for a meeting, but have wasted my time. I have got my legal team to take a case against the Chief Constable and his Keystone cops for deliberately getting rid of vital evidence that was collected by my father's murder. And evidence also went missing from York Road Police Station while in the care of police officers. Of course, they had to get rid of all the vital evidence so that the Sinn Féin area informer Scappaticci would not be implicated in my father's murder. Now, to finish, I asked the BBC and the UTV to broadcast my stories, but these 2 pro-British, pro-Sinn Féin area organisations both refused me. Of course, they are both told what to do and what to broadcast by MI5 and MI6, and as to that I have no doubts. And I would recommend that anyone looking for any help from the RUC PSNI run Police Ombudsman's office, I would advise them not to waste their time. It is with total disgust that I hear that the ex-Chief Constable, Matt Baggett, has been mentioned in the Queen's Honest List. This discredited, corrupt RUC man who refused to meet me after I wrote to his office 12 times and was refused 12 times, inquiring why his corrupt RUC, with the help of Sinn Féin informers, brutally murdered my father in 1974. A 5-man gang of Sinn Féin who were employed and paid by the RUC PSNI, led by Freddie Scappaticci, who carried out the murder of my father. He was shot 5 times in the back. With the full knowledge of the RUC PSNI and Special Branch. Yet, Matt Baggett had plenty of time to have meetings with Sinn Féin with loyalist groups and the DUP, yet that corrupt Chief Constable could not meet me. This is the same Matt Baggett who was Chief Constable in Leicestershire Police in England. He was in charge when 10 Leicestershire police officers, all are under investigation over the way they handled the case of Fiona Pilkington and her disabled daughter Francesca Hardwick, who were found dead in a burnt-out car after suffering years of abuse from Yobs. An inquest last September found that police errors and inaction were responsible for driving the vulnerable single mother to kill herself and her severely disabled daughter. The inquest heard that Pilkingtons contacted the police no fewer than 33 times in 7 years, in which use, throwing stones and shouting abuse had kept them a virtual prisoner in their home. The Pilkingtons' blue Austin Maestro was found in flames on a lay-by near the family home on the night of the 23rd of October 2007. Inside the car, which had been set ablaze with petrol, were severely burnt bodies of Pilkington and Francesca. The inquest was told that Pilkington had took the family pet in the car as well to soothe Francesca, who had a mental age of 4. The 6th-day hearing heard a mass of evidence, at times deeply horrific, of the way in which gangs of teenagers and children, some as young as 10, had kept Pilkington, Francesca and Pilkington's son, who had a milder learning difficulties, under siege. No one under the command of Matt Baggett was ever charged with the murders of those 2 innocent victims. Yet, you get that discredited, corrupt Matt Baggett is going to be honoured by the Queen for his services, just the same as those other corrupt Chief Constables over the past 40 years have been honoured by the same Queen for doing their dirty work. I just wonder if the Queen ever sent a letter to the Pilkingtons family apologising for the way her police murdered those 2 innocent victims. Now, I will be sending a report about the Fiona Pilkington and her disabled daughter Francesca Hardwick to the Queen for her to read and for her to explain to the public how the Chief Constable Matt Baggett, who caused their deaths, is now going to be honoured in her list and is now going to be called Sir Matt Baggett. What a bloody disgrace. Anyone who would like a tape of this story or any one of my stories can call me on my mobile 07715 921137. Leave your name and address and I will send you a tape free. Thank you. Anyone who has a story to tell and wishes me to air it can call me on my mobile 07715 921137, or I can send a reporter out to get your story. And remember, I will tell your story as you tell me. Nothing will be cut out. Now watch more of my stories on YouTube, ArthurRafferty.com, YouTube Arthur Rafferty, Arthur Rafferty Dogger, YouTube Jackspot 2012. This is a tape about the brutal murder of my father by a 5-man gang of Sinn Féin led by Freddie Scappaticci on the orders of the British government, the RUC PSNI and the Special Branch. This assassin, Scappaticci, carried out their orders on their command. My email is arthurrafferty1@gmail.com. Thank you for watching ASNI TV, and good morning, and I will see you soon.